Yes, it is still happening. Modders are still turning Fallout 4 into the ultimate Fallout game. And if you're like, what do you even mean by that? Basically, modders are adding in fundamental features, mechanics, or items from other Fallout games into Fallout 4. So we're seeing this transition into Fallout 4 to just have all of our favorite features from the Fallout franchise overall. And in this one, we're going to have a lot of things from your favorite Fallout games, that being both Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. Modders have been on a serious run as of late, releasing a ton of great things for Fallout 4, but now it's time to get hyped and, pay some bills. And that's thanks to today's video sponsor with Dark Nemesis Infinite Quest for sponsoring this video. And here you're going to be pulled into a mysterious multiverse. A multiverse with a bunch of different threats, and in perfect MMORPG fashion, a variety of heroes to face those threats. This multiverse is just waiting to be explored and its secrets discovered, where you'll be able to dive into some high-intensity PvE combat with some of your friends, or where having friends around will be most important in some pretty epic boss fights. But hey, maybe you hate your friends. Dark Nemesis will also have enticing PvP combat, whether you're battling hundreds of players in real time, or even just teaming up for 5v5 or 10v10 battles. And all of this is provided via a fantastic mobile gaming experience where you could play anytime, anywhere, and win the battles within minutes, all with a nice 3D beautiful world in the backdrop. And if you're feeling a bit more on the pacifist side, you also can get your own spirit that can be turned into a valuable weapon or your mount that you ride around with. So soon you'll be able to join me in the multiverse, so pre-register right now. You'll win in-game rewards and even have a chance at winning an iPhone 13 Pro Max. Thanks again to Dark Nemesis for sponsoring this video. Looking back at Fallout 4, the first thing we have to highlight is the recently released NCR Outfit Pack. This, funny enough, actually coming from members of the team of the Fallout 3 remake mod that with the Capital Wasteland project. This is a pretty awesome one, and it's no surprise why, as what it's going to do is actually add in a bunch of outfits to appear in Fallout New Vegas into Fallout 4 that you can actually go to a vendor and buy the schematics for and then craft for yourself or your companions or even just your settlers. There's a bunch of things here, being some of the staples like the actual trooper outfit itself, the combat ranger armor. You could even get a desert variant of that if you want to go for a more desert vibe overall in the Commonwealth. I know a lot of people mod their game to look more like that. The riot gear this adds in is probably my favorite aesthetically. I just think the visuals of this one look the best in Fallout 4 and just really look the best overall out of the pack, at least in my eyes. But one of the cool things is, in addition to some of the armors this does add in, it also implements itself with a couple of different regular outfits. This being some of the more casual clothes being worn by NCR members around New Vegas or just in general. And I would say this pack overall is actually a fairly rare occurrence for Fallout 4 these days. We don't get many outfit mod packs today, and especially not many outfit mod packs that function with both male and female characters. So this is without a doubt a welcome addition, naturally going to be a super lore friendly one, and if many of these look familiar, it's because they were originally implemented in the larger Project Mojave, but now we do have a very nice standalone and better implemented version into the Commonwealth. But if you want the perfect, and I mean literally the perfect combination mod to use with your newly found NCR Outfit Pack, we do have Peacekeeper, aka the Colt Single Action Army, aka the Single Action Army from Fallout New Vegas. So this mod's phenomenal. What this is going to do at its core is actually add in the Peacekeeper from Battlefield 1 into Fallout 4. And the weapon does look visually phenomenal. You can see there's a couple of visual customization options, and a couple being the quite literal term there. This weapon doesn't really have many attachments, but you'll see why that doesn't really matter, because the other modifications you could make are pretty special. Because what you can change about this weapon is the animation set it's going to use. This including a full set of movement, firing, equip, reload, and sprint animation that will apply, and there are several different variations of this, and some of these are just absolutely satisfying to see. They're definitely over the top, that is clearly the point of this, but they're also just incredibly satisfying and entertaining to use in Fallout 4, and at points just feel perfect in this game, very Wild Wasteland-esque in a way. The animations are clearly the standout feature here, why this mod is getting as much popularity and attention as it is, and it is definitely deserved. It has a couple of other benefits though. You can actually change the sound type, so whether it's going to be a desert, a forest, or some of the other various biome types that could have appeared in Battlefield 1, which functionally will just change the sound profile this weapon does have as you're firing it. Some of these are much louder, some quieter, some have more reverb, but messing around with this thing in combat really just makes you feel like a gunslinger. And then throw on a couple of NCR armors and you're going to feel pretty cool one-tapping a bunch of ghouls or other enemies in Fallout 4 with these wild animations occurring all throughout. This does support tactical reload for an extra batch of animations depending on when you reload. And overall, I'm just gushing over this weapon. It's an absolute joy to use. I know some of you who perhaps want the highest degree of immersion may find these animations to be too over the top, but for me at least, they are perfect. I think revolvers are some of the most satisfying weapons to use in Fallout 4 with the upgraded weapon system, and this is definitely going to be one of my go-to revolver options moving forward. But then we do have another pretty special one, that with the underground hideout. So this is a bit of a unique one in that this was actually a mod for Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. And this isn't a direct recreation of that mod, but rather heavily inspired by it and a modernization of that, as this has a ton of awesome features. So it's going to be a new player home, obviously, and one of the pretty unique things about this is the way you actually use this is crafting it in settlement mode, as you will place down the underground hideout somewhere, typically whatever is your main settlement, which is pretty cool and pretty unique. And from there, you're going to have a fully built out and fully nav meshed and follower friendly underground base with multiple rooms and a ton of functionality. Just going through the rooms overall, it has everything you could want and more. You know, the basics like a kitchen, guest rooms for followers, a main bedroom for you, bathrooms, etc. There's kind of a hub area, a security area, and several other designated areas. You have a nice section with a teleporter because this actually includes this little thing you could pick up that allows you to teleport here at any given time, or if you want to use the regular elevator, you have a different section for that. But even further, there's some things like a little spa sauna area, and as you stand in your pool or hot tub, it actually will give you a perk benefit, this for a limited time, but there's several of these all throughout, as well as unique things like a fusion core recharging area. There are several containers you could dump your junk into, and this has a fully featured auto sorting system, so it'll distribute it and reorganize your things. There's light switches all over, ice cold fridges, and even this pre-war Nuka-Cola machine give you a purpose for pre-war money, which is a nice touch. You do have this automated assistant that's built into the home that with Heidi, and she can do all kinds of things, and one of the pretty cool things she can do is actually put the home on a lockdown mode where all of the windows would be blocked. Pretty cool for roleplay purposes, and just in general, it feels cool. And just one incredibly nice touch, as you actually build the elevator to go down to this one on the top side of your settlement, there's a little camera built in, which was a nice touch, but that's actually a functional camera. You can look through that camera from inside, which is just awesome. This is one of those player home mods that has a ton of really cool features. It's kind of like the ultimate player home in many senses, the ultimate little bunker for you. I'm not even going through every single one here. Overall, a really fun one. I would say a must download for the nostalgia alone, but in a somewhat similar vein, we also do have a quick one with the Fallout 3 workshop furniture. This will add in about 30 pieces of manually recreated segments of Fallout 3 furniture back into Fallout 4's workshop mode. These ranging from beds to containers to some of the desks and other furniture. I know not many people actually engage in workshop mode, but if you do, this is a really beautifully created pack, a lot of this being faithfully recreated and very high quality. So I definitely recommend giving it a look. But speaking of high quality recreations, we also do have the classic Brahmin replacer. This too coming from those members of the Fallout 3 Remake Mods team that's a part of their roadmap where they've been releasing a ton of content. This being one of the simpler ones, but still pretty cool in that it's going to reskin the Brahmins in Fallout 4 to look much more similar to their Fallout 3 and even New Vegas counterparts. It definitely is a bit of a nostalgia trip. It also adds in the functionality of pushing these guys over, which is always fun and nice. In a similar but even more interesting vein, we also do have the Capital Wasteland Bears, which is going to re-implement the bears from Fallout 3 into Fallout 4. And this one's not a replacer. It's actually going to be a different variation of these bears that will spawn along with the other ones in Fallout 4. This will come in a regular albino and glowing variant, and I feel like the variants on this one in particular just look really raw and scary. The skin of this overall is very high quality, and I feel like they have a more visceral and terrifying look compared to their Fallout 4 alternatives. One of the pretty cool parts is, again, this is not a replacer, so these will just be implemented into the level list. You'll have more variation in the creatures of Fallout 4, and they actually have some stat differences, as these will be faster, just like they were in Fallout 3 compared to their Fallout 4 counterparts. So overall, more NPCs to take on and fight. That's something this game desperately needs as far as the modding scene. As far as one more of those, we also do have the Mojave Bighorners, which in a similar vein is going to add in the Mojave Bighorners back into Fallout 4 with a few different variants of them. They're going to spawn right alongside the Rad Stag, so it'll be yet another creature to occupy those leveled lists, fill out the world, and of course being incredibly lore friendly, and they will sometimes get pretty aggressive and attack you. I know though, having Bighorners populate your world is a great feature. You can also recruit some of these, which is another nice really touch. There's going to be this Bighorner trading outpost where you can actually recruit some for your settlement and recruit one as a follower. So overall, several new creatures from this team, but again, this is one of those categories of Fallout 4 modding where there really just aren't a ton of options, and this is one of the few groups of people actually releasing consistent content here, and I'm pretty happy to see it. But then last but not least, we do have the Colt-Mothman 6520 and N80 pistol pack. This adding in, as the title suggests, that classic 10mm revolver, the Colt-Mothman 6520, of course having this Mothman naming, as well as the N80 pistol back into Fallout 4. Two separate variants that you can modify and find in the world. It's relatively simple overall, but it is going to be a bit of a nostalgia trip, and of course will both be a semi-automatic pistol as well as a revolver added back into this game. The 10mm revolver is one of my personal favorite weapons, and you heard what I had to say about revolvers in Fallout 4's weapon system before. And overall, it's a fun one, a relatively small and minor one, but definitely a nice one to occupy the level list and flesh things out a bit. With that said, let's take a look at some of the more recent mods to come out for Fallout 4. This is definitely a first part of sorts. There's a lot of mods coming out as of late, a lot of really high quality mods coming out as of late. I'm gonna have more Fallout 4 modding videos in the near future, so if you want to look out for that, you can get subscribed. Otherwise, as always, again, I thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.